It was a warm mid-spring day in Napa, with temperatures well over 80 degrees when we caught up with Steve Ryan, general manager of the Wine Foundry. We chose the Wine Foundry because we thought it would be a great addition to Outside the Glass because they operate 3 distinctive wine businesses and one where anyone can have their own turnkey wine brand. Welcome to another edition of Outside the Glass. We're here with Steve Ryan, President?
GM.
GM,
Yeah.
Of the Wine Foundry here in Napa. We came out today because we wanted to talk a little bit about your unique business model here at the Foundry, and also taste some wines. But before we get started with all the business questions and so forth, tell us a little bit about yourself, Steve, and your background.
Well, I have a fermentation background, came by way of beer, and was a brewer for 10 years or so. Can't remember exactly, but went to Davis, and out of Davis worked for Gordon Biersch for 7 years or so, and then was at the Beach Chalet when they were building the Park Chalet, and I was there for a shorter stint on contract, and then stumbled into real estate and development down in San Diego, and then I guess it was about 2010, I was watching the Giants with a buddy of mine trying to figure out what I was going to do next, and he reminded me that I always liked wine and always talked about wanting to get into it, so started applying for every job I could find pretty much, except for cellar rat, because I'd already kind of been there, didn't want to do it, and then ended up getting an internship at Crush Pad, actually, so that's kind of what started it.
So that brings us to sort of the question how the Wine Foundry got started, and tell us a little bit about the concept and how it got started, where it started, and where you are today.
All right. So we kind of came out of the ashes of Crush Pad, which started a model in 2004, I believe, in San Francisco, where basically they were making custom wines for people, and people could come and take part in the process or do it remotely, and talking about doing everything in T-bin ferments, and basically make as little as 1 barrel of wine, customized fermentations, customized barrel selection, customized, all the way through to the final blend, label design, and the whole thing. And it's working with fruit that really most people can't get access to with smaller quantities, and some of the kind of who's who of vineyards and throughout California. And Crush Pad went through a few incarnations and then ended up in Sonoma. That's where I started with them as an intern, and they ended up just kind of spending money on the wrong things and had some challenges, and it's a very difficult business model, especially the way they were operating it. So they ended up going out of business, and when I was working for them, met a gentleman named Philip von Berg, who was brought in to kind of potentially infuse some equity in the company. And Philip's a private equity guy, an investor, a turnaround specialist as well, down in Tiburon. And he really liked the model, really liked some of the people, but at the end of the day, saw that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be salvageable, and there were too many challenges with it. So after the company went away, basically Philip and I and Patrick, our winemaker, and Philip's wife Valerie got together and talked about where things went wrong for Crush Pad, and if this model was salvageable and if it could be a profitable operation. We decided to make a handful of changes and bought the assets at auction and started the Wine Foundry. And we started in Sonoma. We were there for 2 years, and then bought this facility here in Napa in 2014. We've been here since, and it's going real well.
So you have continued to do some of the same processes as Crush Pad, where you can just buy a barrel, blend it, and go to market with an O2 that they can apply through your winery. Mm-hmm. But you're also doing other things now too.
Yeah.
So tell us about what additional businesses you're into.
So that is our core product, making wine by the barrel, and we have about 65 or so small commercial brands that we also handle all of the compliance, accounting, reporting, licensing, and everything all the way through. So they just get out there and market their brand, and we take care of everything else. And then when we bought this facility, it was originally a custom crush facility, and they had a small brand that they were operating out of it. That brand was sold to somebody else. We bought the facility, and so with that came some custom crush clients, and we got into custom crush.
And so beyond the custom crush and the single lot business, you're also bottling some wines now too under the Wine Foundry label.
Yes. Yeah, so that's the last piece that we put in place a few years back with our brand called Foundry. And we have a few brands that we're spinning off of that. One called the Anarchist, another is called the Philosopher. This here that we're drinking is the Skeptic, and it's an orange wine, talking about doing something a little out of the box. So a white wine, but treated like a red wine. It stayed on the skins for, I think it was about 3 weeks total. It's a co-ferment of Gewürztraminer, about 70% Gewürz, and the balance was Chenin.
So how many cases are you making under your Foundry brand?
About 3,000.
About 3,000.
Yeah. So, and we'll probably hold that steady in 2017, and then as long as we keep selling it, we'll keep making more.
Excellent. Yeah, this is a really interesting wine. Yeah, it's very tasty. Then the fruit's from where?
Clarksburg.
Clarksburg.
Yeah. So we've, as Napa fruit has gotten more and more expensive, and it's getting kind of ridiculously expensive. It's getting us to explore other areas, and so we're sourcing some fruit from Sonoma, some cab from Sonoma, some stuff from Paso.
Tell us some of the vineyards that you're sourcing from. You drop some names for us.
We source from George III, Beckstoffer property in Rutherford, Stagecoach. We worked with Ponte Road, as you know, obviously, with the Steve Mathiasen Farms. We've worked with San Giacomo family on some Chard and Pinot. We source some really great Chard and Pinot from Santa Rita Hills, from Foley Wines, Foley Vineyards down there. What else? We've got Morgan Lee for our Sauvignon Blanc up in Yountville. And we do a lot of stuff with Jan Krupp, now the former owner of Stagecoach. Right. We source from his home vineyard as well in Coombsville. That's new to us this year, so we'll be playing with that. And then Clarksburg, we kind of think it's a little bit of a gem. We started getting some Gewürz and Chenin and Riesling from there that we do for the Anarchist, which is a dry version of all of those grapes put together. And then we just took a little bit of this and parceled it off and did the ferment for their orange wine. So, but we're really quite pleased with the fruit. It's really great.
Did you sterile filter this wine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Ooh. All right. So, Steve, where do you see the Wine Foundry going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I'd say we've expanded quite a bit with the business since we bought this facility in 2014. We added an additional 15,000 square feet to the property here, and with that, we've grown into it pretty well. We have a little bit more capacity, but I think that really it'll kind of stay the same. Our growth on the barrel business is about 10 to 15% a year, and that'll keep going. That's a tricky business, tricky part of our model, at least, because it's so customized and it's multifaceted, because we do handle all of the compliance and we handle all of the label design and all of that. And as you can imagine, when you have 30 different vineyard properties that we're working with for that program, and we need to keep them single vineyard designates for our clients, we have a lot of kegs, we have a lot of need for storage. So we've grown into the expansion pretty well. A little bit more room. I think as we kind of grow, the custom crush side will become a little bit less, but I think that'll always be there. and probably getting a little bit more serious about the Foundry brands is probably where we'll go. Because one of the challenges that I see as with the barrel business, the traditional model our non-traditional model that we started with, it's you get to a certain level and then you're going to have to put a lot more fixed costs into the business. More cellar crew, another winemaker, another designer, all of this, and so the divide between getting the additional sales to meet the needs of that fixed costs is, I think, a little bit of a challenge down the road. And so our main focus there is to grow a little bit, grow slowly, execute on the expectations we set for our clients, and just kind of keep it steady.
If we were going to make a documentary about your life, Steve, what bands would be part of that soundtrack?
What bands?
Yeah.
Wilco, definitely. That's my jam for sure. That's kind of the anthem throughout my life, I would say, is Wilco.
How many Giants games are you going to go to this year?
Well, not the 40 that you're not going to. I'll probably get to about 20, I think.
About 20?
Yeah, I think that'll be what it is.
Yeah,
I've yet to make it through a whole game between taking my 6-year-old daughter or last night, as I was telling you earlier, leaving with my buddy to just basically bar hop our way back to Marin. But yeah, going tomorrow, that's going to hopefully be the first 9-inning game that I'll sit through.
And so besides going to see baseball, what do you like to do for yourself, because you can?
Live music, pretty much anytime I can. Hiking, I live down in southern Marin, so anything around Mount Tam, getting out on the water, going for runs, seeing friends, family, hanging out with my daughter.
Right on. And is there something that the Wine Foundry does for the community around that is kind of special?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I don't know if you saw it on here, but we recently joined 1% for the Planet. So with our Foundry wines, 1% of all sales goes to a charitable organization. I'm not sure exactly which one we're going to do this year. We can switch it up. But it's a really neat kind of group of companies that have come together with a kind of central vision to do things and help the planet. And it was started by Yvonne Chauvinard, I can't remember, the founder of Patagonia.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Which is a company that we like quite a bit around here. Not only do we have usually our Christmas gifts, the employees, are Patagonia things that are embroidered for us, but we like their level of customer service, and we like their kind of central ethos of the company, so we kind of try to follow along a little bit.
Yeah, I heard an interview with him on NPR. Really interesting guy.
Yeah, he's got there's a book called Let My People Go Surfing, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's a great read, especially if you're looking at kind of how to operate and manage a team.
Right, yeah. He's an excellent business person, and he's climbed every mountain, right?
Yeah.
So it's his thing. Well, great. Thanks so much for your time, Steve, and
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. In summary, the Wine Foundry was born out of the ashes of the former business Crush Pad that allowed anyone with a bit of capital to own their own wine brand and source grapes from reputable vineyards. When the Wine Foundry bought the Crush Pad assets at auction, they had the foundation and former clients to continue, but knowing that the winery needed to generate more revenue, the Wine Foundry implemented 2 additional revenue streams: custom crush winemaking and developing their own proprietary brand. It seems that having had some insight what ultimately contributed to the Crush Pad's failings, Steve and his team was able to restructure the concept of the Crush Pad while adding additional services to help keep the vision alive. The Wine Foundry is located at 45 Enterprise Court in Napa, California. Their telephone number is area code 877-946-3404. Their business hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m., and Saturdays, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can also find them online at www.thewinefoundry.com. Join us next time when we visit with Kevin Robinson, owner and brewer of Plow Brewing Company in Santa Rosa. Thanks again for joining us on Outside the Glass.